Everyone, welcome to another FogCutter Live. I'm Mike Curtis here with Preston James, founder of Traders Edge Network, founded back in 2003. So for over 22 years, we've been helping traders and investors just like yourself navigate the craziness of the financial markets, the fog that's out there. And Preston, I don't think that rings more true than these last couple of trading days. What do you
Oh,
say?
yeah. Man, we've heard from everything from the bubbles, it's been burst. This is just like 1999, 2000. Look out below. We had President Trump do a True Social post on Friday. It was right during my live Friday strategy session that I do to the Wow Insiders. Happened like right in the middle, but basically just holding a hardline stance on tariffs with China. The market freaked out,
Right.
and then we wake up here on Monday, and he was asked about it. He says, "Hey, everything's going to be fine." So the next thought I had here at the office, Mike, as we're starting the week, is if every other day was like this in the market, I'd have to find something else to do.
no, no doubt. Yeah, it was some incredibly volatile, a couple of days. Friday, the NASDAQ, for example, down over 800 points. I think it finished down 810 points, but it actually was up in the morning. So it was more like a 900 plus point reversal. Now here we are today, up 500 points on the NASDAQ. And Preston, it reminds me of a little graphic that we show people, just to your point of, this is pretty unique. The market doesn't behave like this all the time. It does happen, of course. We have volatility. We see these big spikes in volatility. Maybe we could throw up that graphic, Kyle, where it just kind of shows, here's the last 10 years of market movement. Every dot represents a day. So you can see down at the bottom of this chart, that's in those vertical lines, that's a positive 1% move to a negative 1% move. So just illustrating the vast majority of the time, you can see the majority of those trading days, the market moves less than 1% in either direction. So there are all those anomalies, right? That what we just saw on Friday is going to be out there on
Right.
some of those extremes.
One's going to
But
be on the left, one's going to be on the right. Yeah.
exactly. But just to your point, Preston, do we have to be ready for it? Do we have to have the stomach for it to navigate it once in a while? Absolutely. But the fact is, it is pretty unique and rare.
Yeah, absolutely. And I part of me wonder, and you can speculate about this all day long. Hey, uh, a new presidential administration. Yes, he'd been president before, but probably a whole new staff. And um, what do you say? What don't you say? Did he know it would have that kind of reaction? And I get it that anytime you negotiate, you're not going to say, "Hey, I really want to end up in the middle, so I'm
Right.
going to go low and you go high." Okay, no, you're gonna say something just ridiculous to maybe get to the table. Someone goes higher, you come up a little bit lower, they come down, and you got the
Right.
deal that you probably wanted anyway. But that's what I read into it on Friday. I'm like, we're probably going to be fine.
Right.
I mean, till you kind of see it on Monday, you really don't know. And then, Mike, we've got third quarter earnings season
Totally.
already. It's the ball's on the tee, and it's ready to get kicked off starting tomorrow morning before the open. I didn't want to go right there, but please comment on the negotiation or anything that
Yeah, no, we've seen what April taught us, right? When we had the first kind of tariff scare, um, and I remember a president holding up that reciprocal tariff with some of these really extreme numbers, and the market freaked out, right? The market hates uncertainty. And then as though a few of those deals started coming together, what we saw was they were landing in a pretty reasonable place for the most part. It wasn't anything near some of those numbers on that board that was held up. So, yeah, so I think to your point, Preston, maybe it's a little negotiating tactic. But the other piece that I read into this on Friday was the market was so stretched to the upside. We've just had several months. And then even I think it was like 8 out of 9 days before Friday, the market had gone higher.
Mhm.
And so we were really stretched anyway to the upside, meaning, what in the world does that mean? What's overstretched mean? Well, we're probably due for some profit taking anyway. People get hesitant to buy when we have covered so much ground. And it's very healthy for the market to pull back. It's very important to have that balance. And so here comes the news. Oh, tariff this, tariff that. And, China's not wanting to share their rare earth minerals. And so what it sparks is that uncertainty word, which the market hates. And Preston, I know you've said this, where people rush to just sell and then they ask questions later, right?
Mhm.
Hey, sell, sell, sell. So you mix in some uncertainty, you mix in some new tariff, trade war, back and forth, and then you layer on top of that an overstretched market anyway. And it can be a recipe for what we saw on Friday, just kind of hysterical selling and everyone's selling, and then they're going to ask the questions later.
Yeah, I mean, and then I think too with this week full of earnings, I mean, starting with all these
Right.
financial companies, I mean, earnings are always the day of reckoning. Not only what's announced, but what are these companies saying at that same podium they announce the earnings?
Mm-hmm.
They're also issuing guidance, and what Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan say for guidance is a big deal throughout the world. Both of those, and they both announce earnings tomorrow morning. Same with
Right.
BlackRock. I mean, the one of the companies that owns I mean, it's unfathomable. BlackRock, Citigroup, Goldman, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, they all I said that all announced before the earnings tomorrow. It kicks off earnings season.
Right.
So I think with that also, that was kind of waiting. That was being factored into, like, oh, now we got earnings too.
Right. Yeah, a chance to rebalance some positions, sell some things. And then you see, right, I think some of that hysteria, the knee-jerk reactions kind of settles down. People start realizing, oh, there's some deals out there, right? Things have dropped to these levels, and you're obviously seeing that buying really come back in today. Is I think some of that hysteria, that emotions kind of settled out. Maybe some of that repositioning's happening, and people are coming back in and scooping up some positions at these levels. So yeah, so Preston, on the back of something like that, heading into earnings season, right? So we talked about Friday. We can talk a little about today. Let's talk the next week or two or three. Where does your brain go coming off of? Because let's set the backdrop, right? We've had several months of great market performance, a very strong, steady uptrend. And then, like I said, it was 7 out of 8 days in a row up, um, something like that. We were overstretched in the short term. We've had a really good bullish run over the last several months, but then short term, we were stretched. We see a huge day like that, all this just intense selling. We're coming into earnings season. Where does your brain go as far as your portfolio structure, your positions? What's kind of your mindset looking into the next week or two or three?
Well, it's times like this where I love to be curious first and foremost above everything else. Um, what stocks are bouncing today? Which ones aren't?
Mm-hmm.
Which what sectors are doing well and which ones aren't? I mean, we have a huge AI rollout happening right before our eyes, and I look at price action and volume. If something, I think when the selling happened on Friday, it was so one way. I think in a lot of cases, Mike, like the average volume was eclipsed. I mean, a lot of stocks were down
Right.
on more volume than normal on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but where I get interested and curious is, hey, and maybe take that day away. Is my stock stop? Has it stopped trending with everything else? And is it having days where it's pulling back and the volume's bigger, so it's contained to a single stock? That's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. I get it when they're all going to act in unison on some worldwide news. I get it. That's going to happen.
Right.
but I really start being curious about individual names as they pull back. What's the volume like? As they surge forward, what's the volume like? Price action and volume always rule. Um, and I love to be curious. And also, this is an obvious one, but everyone should know the next earnings date on your positions,
Absolutely.
especially as we're starting earnings. You should just know. You should just write down and say, "Oh, you know, I'm trading in Spotify, for example. Their earnings are, you don't have to worry about them for 4 or 5 weeks. You should know
Right.
that."
Yep. Whether it's a sticky note there on your desk, half sheet of paper, something, start looking at those. A lot of them are confirmed at this point, right, Preston? Now
Mhm.
that this new quarter has started, right? Usually it's about 2 weeks into the quarter when it really starts to ramp up. Like right here, right now, this week is really earnings season kicking off. So that's a great piece of advice, because a lot of times earnings creates some big movements, some volatility, right? That's usually when that earnings announcement hits. It's one of the highest volume traded days of the year for the underlying stock, and it is usually the biggest price movement day of the year. And they do these every quarter, right? So as you come into these, a lot of times we choose just to close down a money press. It just can become a little bit of a coin flip on how it's going to react. So the safe way is to just close it down and just step out of the way, let the earnings happen, and then we can always reassess after that news is behind us.
Right. And that said too, Mike, we don't like to start a new money press
Mm,
with the next earnings announcement being like 2 weeks away or less.
right,
I mean, there's just not time. It's too much of a joker and an unknown. There's not time to let the trade get some footing and for you to get ahead with some weeks of premium selling,
right.
which is better to know when the earnings are and also watch competitors. Hey, this stock looks good. I think it's going to be my next money press. Well, you should do a little research. Be curious.
Right.
What are the competitors doing? When do they announce earnings? I always like to know that too.
Yeah, super important. So really, Preston, I mean, from yesterday into today, you actually started a new money press today. So you're kind of trading through this. We'll see how the dust settles.
Mhm.
Um, Anything else on that front is how you're approaching some of your money press trades or anything like that outside of the earnings discussion we just had?
Yeah, just to maybe also say the other obvious thing that why we lean on the money press so much is because is there uncertainty in the world? Yes. Are sector rotations happening? Yeah. An earnings season coming? Yes. Um, but we, as part of the money press, there's a protective um, um, element to it. It's a protective put. It's a downside. And I love something that Menor Stella brought up. She might have been filling in for me or someone, but she got into a fender bender recently. She's okay. Everything's fine. Her car's not, but she has car insurance. And I've often described like to neighbors and stuff. They're like, what does he do? He wears weird clothes. I mean, what does he do? And you just can't start to talk about options. People just glaze over. So I've compared them before, Mike, to saying, well, it's just like, did you know that you can buy like insurance on your stocks just like you buy Progressive or Geico
Right.
insurance on your car? Well, Stella went a step further and said she's in a little insurance nightmare dealing with the after effects where there's games and what's it really worth and this, that, and the other. Her protection is now being sounded out. And I'm sure if anyone's been in an accident or has dealt with insurance companies, whether it be fire or natural disaster, you know, on property or a car, sometimes it's not all in stone
Right.
compared to the protection, I'll add or contrast with a put option, which
Right.
is absolutely in stone.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about the money press is before we even enter the position, we know what that exposure is. We know what the broker is going to want to hold as part of that downside risk. and we can make a really pure, I think that's the way I would describe it. It's really a pure analysis of that risk reward, that opportunity versus what it's going to cost us.
Down to the penny.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. And then as some of these weeks go along that do work well, and you're adding profit to that, right? You bring in a week or two of some income, and at that point, your money press might have no exposure because you've generated enough income to offset that downside exposure. So it's just a really fun strategy. That's why we love trading it so much. We love teaching it so much. It just has a lot of benefits like that.
Totally.
Awesome, Preston. We've got a fun story from a client, but before we dive into that, any other kind of parting thoughts from you? Or I know we've got our head on our Atlanta event that we're heading off to this week.
That's what I was going to say. We are so excited for Atlanta. We do 2 live events a year. We should, now that I've like dialed back, Mike, we always do them. Well, we always do one in April and then one in October. Those are both chock full of earnings announcements. I mean, we could do it at a different time when it's just maybe a little less, but I think we like getting in the mix. It's almost like getting in the mosh pit with everyone. We started off with a cocktail hour on Wednesday evening, and then we're just off. It's so fun to see everyone. If you're coming, we can't wait. I fly out tomorrow, and we've got the bags lined up in the land office. Our crew from Ohio comes down to film it, and they might as well come from Los Angeles. It's just Hollywood A-level capturing with audio and visual.
Absolutely.
You like to do it first class, Mike. There's nothing funner than these.
Yeah, they're a blast. Our clients love it. We love it. Just putting your head on trading, talking about opportunities, strategies, tweaks, enhancements. It just, without a doubt, people come out of those 2 days as a better, more confident trader. Now, the live seats completely sold out, I think, in about a week and a half. But you can still join us via our live stream. You can tune in. It's like you're in the room with us. There's a live chat room where even though you're from home, you can still communicate with some of us in the room. It's just a great way to take it in if you can't be in Atlanta with us. So maybe we could throw that URL up on the screen there. If you want to check it out, if you want to try to tune in from that from home, you can check out our live stream. Go to that URL, tradersedgenetwork.com/events, and you can learn more. So to wrap this up, John E. sent in a really fun story. Preston, we get a lot of people that are looking for additional income in retirement, right? There's a lot of our clients are trying to build that nest egg. Some are already retired. They're looking for more income. They're wanting something to stay mentally sharp, whatever it might be. But this was John. He said he just retired, looking for something part-time, wanted to supplement his income. He was in the brokerage business for 20 years.
Whoa.
So he had a little bit of understanding. He said he was comfortable trading options. That I gave many crash courses on the subject to customers. And he says, I understand the concept can be confusing to new people, right? It can, new terminology, some new things. We hear it all the time, right? Oh, I don't know if I can figure that out. But once you dive in, it's not that difficult. It might just be a little bit different than what you're used to. But so I love John's perspective on this. It can feel a little intimidating. It can feel a little confusing. But we've got the resources here at Trader's Edge to help you navigate it, even if you're just brand new to trading. But John goes on, he said, I joined Trader's Edge in January, evaluated the first 2 weeks. Then he jumped in, placed his first couple of trades. He said he followed your lead, P, and he profited a total of $2,300. He said this opened my eyes to the possibilities and has been a perfect part-time gig since. So, John, thanks for sending that in. Appreciate you taking the time. It looks like you're climbing some of our insider milestones as well. So big shout out to John for taking on a new endeavor in retirement.
I love it. I'll add to that. I mean, it's easy to harp on your own self. Like, why don't I get it? I mean, from me and Mike's perspective, I mean, we are not rewiring the space shuttle, but of course we're used to we do what we do every day. We get it that it can take some time. And I was just reading over the weekend, Mike, that John Wayne, the Duke. It I don't know if I said this on the last FogCutter, but I saw kind of taken aback from it. But he did 50 westerns in sweaty, dusty, hot southern Utah, northern Arizona down there before he ever got noticed, before his stagecoach breakout. I mean, 50 westerns before
Wild.
air conditioning. Um, but obviously he had a passion for it or whatever. But it started gelling. He got noticed or whatever. But sometimes it just doesn't happen right at first, like
Right.
we want. And just to take from that, hey, if I just stick with this and maybe just embrace the process, that learning something new is fun, it's rewarding, even if I don't
Absolutely.
get it all right now. Just the fact that you're going out of a comfort zone, maybe you're taking a little Netflix time, you're spending it on yourself. Um, Sometimes amazing things can happen. I love hearing stories like this from John.
Yeah, definitely. There is definitely some, a ton of fulfillment, that personal growth. We see people, Preston, that are trading pretty small accounts or not trying to make a ton of money, but they just get a ton of passion from feeling that personal growth, kind of, just reinvesting in themselves, learning something new, exciting, challenging. And so, yeah, whatever your motivation is, hopefully you stick with it. You can follow John's example there. Keep with this, keep diving in, and keep having a ton of fun as you hopefully start seeing the profits start to stack up. So thanks, Preston.
I love it.
Another great one. Appreciate your
Absolutely.
insights.
Absolutely.
I think people got a lot out of this one. Hopefully they're, if they're feeling some nerves from these last couple of days, hopefully we helped them navigate that a little bit better as we dive into another trading week.
Absolutely. We're excited. So see you guys in Atlanta.
Yeah, take
Thanks,
care.
Mike.